All right. Welcome everybody to the 2020 virtual Red Raider Startup Weekend program at the Innovation Hub. So we're so excited to share the 9 teams that have been working hard over the weekend to bring you their startups. This has been the first time ever that we've done a virtual weekend. So we're used to being face-to-face all weekend long, food, fun, and networking. And I think we did a pretty good job of getting to know everybody virtually, even when it goes late into the evening. I think one of the teams left at 2:45 a.m. Some fell asleep on the Zoom call. That's normal. We have people sleep here when we're in person. So super fun weekend, even virtual. And so thank you first to all the teams who committed their weekend to spend with us. It's been quite the ride. So as we go along, our MC will be Io Igby, and she'll be sharing some stories as they go along, getting their screens up, kind of just about what she's experienced with the teams this weekend. But first, I want to thank our sponsors. So we couldn't do this without 2 of our major sponsors, Rawls College of Business, Area of Management. They love the Red Raider Startup Program. It's so beneficial for no matter who you are or what discipline that you get to experience creating a startup from the ground up. And most importantly, being on a team with people from different backgrounds. And we've heard a million times this weekend how cool that was for someone's idea to get a different perspective. And that's really what this program is all about. And then also the Lubbock Economic Development Alliance, thank you for your support. We couldn't do our programs without your support and just generous support for us throughout the years. And we thank both of you guys for that. All right, so we are now going to go to our final presentations. Or first, we're going to introduce our sponsor. Let me get to the right slide. Hold on. I'm just going right through. It'll be easier. I also want to thank our leadership team really quickly. Gage Duncan, Yuval Dreyer, Kevin Fear, Vitali, I never say his last name and he lets me by with that, and then Io Igby. They spent countless hours with these teams this weekend virtually. They'll go in and out of their break rooms. They will give them advice, encouragement, and I could not do this without them. I would be here all hours of the night. So thank you so much for that. All right, so I am sorry about this. I'm gonna just go through here. I could see everything that we did, see? Okay, so now let's meet our panelists. All right, so thank you again. We have 6 panelists that have given their Sunday afternoon to be with us. We've talked you guys up all weekend long. We said you're going to be hearing from the experts. You're going to be just like Shark Tank. They're mean, man. They're going to come at you with questions. They're going to hound you. No, we know that you guys have been there and done this and are going to give them the best advice. And I know our teams are so thankful for what you guys can offer today. So first, I'm not going to introduce them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves so that you guys can see them and put it in speaker view so you can see their faces when they go. But let's start with John Duffy.
Hi, Tasha. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. It's nice to meet you. My name's John Duffy. I'm here in stormy Delray Beach, Florida today. I'm super fired up to see what you guys have come up with. I know you've been working really hard, and this will be fun this afternoon. I have a long history with startups. I've done a couple of software startups of my own, currently working on a new one called Direct. I'm also an operating partner at Kayne Anderson Capital Advisors, where we're putting about $900 million to work in technology-enabled startups around the U.S. Looking forward to talking to all of you and seeing what you've come up with. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, John. John's one of our industry mentors at the Innovation Hub, and so he works a lot directly with our Texas Tech Accelerator program. So thank you, John. Next, we have Keith Patrick.
Oh, hi, everybody. Thanks, Tasha. Excited to be here. I know you guys have put in a ton of work over the last few days. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Friendship ISD. I was once with Texas Tech and have been involved with the hub since it got rolling for the most part. I also, at one point, was the venture manager for the Lubbock Angel Network and had a great perspective on startups from all over the country as they sought investment at an early stage. I know you've done a ton of work. I'm excited to see what you have. And as always, my gears are turning in ways to help you and help you collaborate and grow as you look to move forward with whatever you're doing. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one. Thanks.
Thank you, Keith. All right, we have Wendy Shen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Chen. I am an assistant professor at Texas Tech. So I just moved from Washington, D.C. to Lubbock, as you can imagine the trip. And so as I always tell my students, I teach social entrepreneurship here. So the best advice I will give you is just to believe in yourself. You have already put in your 100%. So don't be nervous. Although it's online, it might be awkward, but I believe in you. Good luck.
Thank you. We're so excited to have her at Texas Tech. She's already made an imprint here, and she hasn't been here very long. So she's putting people to work. I can tell you that much. We're excited to work with you, Wendy. Thank you. Kevin Souls.
Hi, everyone. My name's Kevin. I'm a partner at Loza & Loza, an intellectual property law firm. So I specialize in working with startups all the way up to Fortune 500 companies, helping them protect IP portfolios. Spend a lot of time working on software, electrical engineering, that sort of thing. I think getting to watch people develop ideas into useful technology and inspiring entrepreneurship is just one of the greatest parts of my job. So I'm really excited to be here, really excited to see what everybody's come up with.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, we have Kara Wells.
Hey, thanks, Tasha. I am Kara Wells, and I'm a two-time graduate of Texas Tech with my bachelor's and PhD from the College of Animal Science. And I'm the founder and CEO of an ag tech company. This is really exciting for me today because I'm used to being on the other side of the table in your shoes, where I'm the one being judged and being scrutinized by Innovation Hub panelists and everything. So I'm really excited to be on this side of the table where there's a lot less pressure, and I'm really excited to see all the creativity and innovation that you've been working on all weekend. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, and then last we have Preston Wickersham.
Bringing up the rear. Hi, everybody. I am Preston Wickersham. I am a, excuse me. I'm a content marketing consultant. I've worked that way for 5 years under Preston Wick Content, which I started a few years ago to help brands ranging from teeny tiny brands, 1 or 2 people, all the way up to Fortune 100 companies, clarify messaging, communicate more with their audiences, do all sorts of different message clarification, and make sure that they're having the right conversations. I like to think of myself as the storyteller. I like to help people tell their stories, and I like to hear stories. And I'm sure excited to hear more of your stories today as well. Currently, I am the head of content marketing for Remote, remote.com. We're a human resources technology company doing global employment work, pretty exciting stuff. So yeah, I'm here. I'm excited to be a little more local today. Excited to work with people who are not in time zones that are several hours different than mine. So this is a very exciting time for me. Just looking forward to see what you guys have today.
Thank you. Awesome. So as you can see, we have a great group of panelists. No need to be nervous after that, though, even though they're coming with a lot of experience, they'll be nice to you. And what I love most about our panelists and our mentors is they're always there to help you, even after this program. It never fails. We're connecting people for coffee or just a phone call. So just know that you finished this program strong and you do have access to our mentors. So thank you. All right, without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to pass it off to Io to get started with our first team.
Yes, thank you, Tasha. And hi, everyone. Welcome again. We're so happy to have you here. It's been an incredible weekend, and virtually wherever everyone's at. And I've seen so much hard work that these teams have put in, and the creativity has just continually impressed me. And so I'm super excited for everyone to hear these teams. And to start it off, let's go ahead and welcome Homeland Produce. Homeland Produce, go ahead and share your screen. We are ready for you. And feel free to share your team, and if you guys are from Texas Tech, share what department you're from.
Sure, absolutely. Can we start with on the screen or the camera there? Yep. Hey, everybody. Real quick before we get started, just a question. Is there anybody here joining us from California? Oh, looks like we got one there on the call. Great. That's great. You got a lot in common with our guest today, Mr. Romaine here. You're both from California. You're both 80% water. It's all good. Who's ready for lunch, huh? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a salad here, right? We got this. This lettuce comes from everybody's favorite local grocery store. I don't have to name it.
Corey,
Uh-huh.
Corey, have you started your presentation, or are you introducing your team?
We jumped in. I've got the introduction built into our presentation here.
Okay, so you jumped into your presentation?
Yes, ma'am, if that's okay with you.
Okay, go ahead and share your screen. We'd like you to introduce your team. Okay, you have that built in. All right.
Yes, ma'am, I do,
So let's share your screen. I need to start your timing. I just didn't know if you had started already.
That's fine, that's fine. You guys can see me up here in the corner too, right? Yeah.
You are good to start now. Go ahead.
Rock and roll. Hey, thanks, sorry about that. Like I was saying, we got Mr. Romaine here from California. He's our visitor today. He's gonna join us for lunch. Let's have a good look at this salad we're gonna make, guys. Okay, so all of this has to go in the trash right there. Nobody wants that nice woody bit. Bye-bye. And then, all this loose stuff on the
Hi,
top.
Pepper. Hi, Joe.
It's got a lot of brown in it. So we're just gonna cut that off and toss that to the side. Pick some of these other bits off that aren't very good looking, You guys have done this before. And then by the time we get to the end, we've got about enough lettuce for a salad. Maybe some of that'll go in the fridge. Probably won't survive a couple of days, but pretty common problem for everybody, right? Hey, everybody, I'm Corey Roof. I have been a hydroponics farmer for the past 5 years. With me here is Carl Bomio, a former chemical processing technician and computer engineering student here at Tech, and Grace Adebayo, a local day trader and businesswoman. When we showed up this weekend, we set out to solve this problem. Why is the quality of produce so poor here in West Texas? But during customer discovery, me and my team found out something mind-blowing. I can't wait to tell you about it. We wanted to discover what kind of produce people in Lubbock were looking for. So we drew up a questionnaire and we went to the source where the people are, the Wolfforth Farmers Market. Now, this is the most popular farmers market in Lubbock County. And since the beginning of COVID, they have expanded from 60 booths to over 140 booths. Turns out during a pandemic, people really like shopping outside. Now, while we were there, we spoke to about 20 people in person and validated some interesting points. Mainly this: when we asked what we were looking for when people were shopping for produce, the thing that they said above all was produce that was fresh. That word came up over and over again, something that looks fresh. And this was great news because it fit our conclusions. But I gotta tell you, the real aha moment came a few minutes later when I was speaking to a hot dog vendor named Paul. And I said to him, "Hey man, do you have anything that you wanna tell us about the produce here in Lubbock?" And his face lit up like he was expecting me to ask the question. He said, "Oh my God, my wife complains all the time about how she can't find collards." And then he looked at me and said, "Write this down. Collard greens. She can't find collards. She can't find mustard greens or root vegetables. And she's from Puerto Rico, so you know how important that is." Honestly, I don't. I had no idea what he was talking about when she mentioned Puerto Rico. A moment later, I turned to my partner and I said, "Hey, did you have any idea that we would get such a strong response from someone from Puerto Rico?" He looked me right in the eyes and said, "Dude, I'm from Central Africa. We don't have any of that good produce here." At that moment, the light bulb went off in both of our heads at the exact same time. We then got a hold of our other teammate, Grace, and told her about our insight. Immigrant communities are not getting the produce that they want, and they're willing to pay a premium to get it. Now, by the time we met up with her later in the afternoon, she had gathered a trove of information by calling the business owners of ethnic grocery stores here in the city. She also called a number of local restaurants. I was majorly impressed by the effort, and I gotta be honest, more impressed by what she found out. And then it turns out we were totally on point. These grocers, every single one of them was eager to complain about their produce problem. Food is incredibly expensive to ship. The shelf life is worse than domestic produce. And if people don't buy it, they have to throw it away and take the loss. So several of them didn't even bother. At the Indian grocery store in town, they grew a bunch of items at home to provide for their customers. Ladies and gentlemen, we have found it, our mission, to develop hydroponically grown food for the underserved ethnic communities here in the United States. Now, there are about 45 million immigrants in the US, and because food is such a signifier of culture, they often take their cooking and eating habits very seriously. They shop at small grocers, which are locally owned and typically more expensive, and they are willing to spend more to maintain their cultural practices. They're present in every city in America, and they desire a wide variety of vegetables, leafy greens, herbs, roots, and extracts. And nearly all of it is way too far away to efficiently deliver. Now, we are here to build a series of greenhouses across the United States, right outside of city centers where land is slightly more affordable. What you're looking at here is the American Hydro NFT System 15,000. It's designed to produce about 20,000 plants a year, and it costs about $250,000 to build. Now, this is the ideal unit for leafy greens and herbs and can be modified for other crops. This will be the home of our collard greens, our mustard greens, and the wide variety of valuable crops that we will soon identify. Now, at the moment, I can't put a price tag on value or revenue because this is truly a fresh discovery. But I can say that with 45 million people with non-traditional flavor profiles, this is information we want to uncover. And I'd be surprised if these communities were unwilling to tell us what they want. So for us, this is only the beginning. We've obviously got some very clear next steps. We will soon be participating in the iLaunch program, as well as entering the Texas Tech Accelerator program. We're planning to work with some hydroponic growers in the faculty to develop a Faculty C startup grant. And then, of course, most importantly, we have an extensive amount of customer discovery to do, which we're really excited to engage in. Hey, everybody, thank you for your time. We'd be happy to take questions at this time.
Okay, thank you, Homeland Produce. Now I want to open up the floor to the judges for feedback and questions.
Hi guys, this is John. I'll go first. You know, I don't know anything about hydroponic farming. Are there can you compare and contrast it to traditional farming? Just, is it more expensive, less expensive? Do things grow faster, slower?
Yes, we're actually in a really exciting time in the hydroponic space right now. In the past 10 years, there's sort of been an arms race to really unlock the potential of LED technology and the hydroponic technology. And we're finally in an era where the price point can create value for the farmer. We can grow this stuff and sell it efficiently in a way to make pretty genuine profits. Right now, the technology is pretty accessible for leafy greens and herbs and growing of plants of that type. And then very soon, technology will be accessible for plants like tomatoes and strawberries and blueberries, more complicated plants that take longer to grow. Honestly, that's why the time is now for this. It's that the technology is available, and we can approach this project knowing that there will be a potential for financial gain.
Thank you.
So Corey, great presentation. I have a background in agriculture and I work with food production systems pretty
Awesome.
frequently. And I like how that you've taken a different approach to your problem with trying to find not so niche markets for immigrant food taste for produce. But when we look at the research funding, the grant funding, and the problem in food production, it all comes down to sustainability. So can you walk me through how this can contribute to global sustainability and help with greenhouse gas emissions while creating an economical food source for the growing population?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for the question. I think that as far as when our team is looking at the climate crisis and trying to communicate how this technology will benefit the global food production community in the future, I really think about water production. Here in West Texas, we all live on top of the Ogallala Aquifer, which is the largest freshwater aquifer in the world. And for the past 60, 80 years, it's been providing water to grow our crops, not only in West Texas, all the way up to Kansas, Nebraska, into South Dakota. We all draw from the same aquifer. And right now, we're really approaching a water crisis situation because the aquifer is going dry. Now, the hydroponic technology that we want to invest in, and really hydroponic technology generally, uses about 90% less water. So we're talking about only 10% of the water that these crops are grown or used when they're grown in the field setting. I think that for people in Lubbock and in West Texas broadly, that will be very, very appealing for them when they're looking at investment opportunities in the ag space.
Wonderful. Yeah, I definitely think you should include that statistic because I think that's pretty impressive, about 90% less water.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll write that down. Absolutely.
I have a couple of questions. You mentioned 45 million immigrants and that they shop at local and small grocers. Do you have an idea how many of those grocers there are? Because that, I would assume you're viewing them really as your customer, as they'll be doing the development.
Keith, that was data that was pretty difficult to gather. When we have a little bit more time to invest in that research project, you bet we'll be able to pull up those numbers. And that is on our list of things to do here. So that was an excellent insight. Thank you. And then again, and kind of echoing before, I don't know much about hydroponic technology. So you talked about building out your growing centers outside of major cities to then serve, I guess, that metro area. Is there any advantage though with hydroponics in shipping and longer, life of the produce itself? I think for grocers specifically, that is a great area of interest for the hydroponically grown food. Since it's grown in markets that are so close to the urban centers, when you're purchasing this food, you don't have to deal with issues with cross-country transportation. One, when food sits on the truck for that long, it lowers the shelf life and lowers the traditional nutritional value, And then additionally, there's the carbon footprint that you're dealing with when you're ordering produce from across the country. Those issues you don't deal with when you're getting it from right outside of town. Additionally, when food goes through the supply chain, think of a few years ago when there was the E. coli recall. All the lettuce in the United States, you couldn't get lettuce on your burger at McDonald's because it was all recalled. And when you're ordering directly from the producer and the producer is less than 100 miles away, you don't deal with those logistical challenges.
Awesome. Thank you, Homeland Produce.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Awesome. Now I want to welcome up this team. Their name is CrewSense. So guys, feel free to share. Now this team, they went to the hub and they wore their masks and they were socially distanced. They were very committed to working together and collaborating to push forward their idea. So I want to welcome up CrewSense.
Yeah, they can.
Awesome.
Everyone, this is
CrewSense, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
go ahead
this
and
is,
share everyone's name and then what department you're from.
Okay. I'm Gregorio Lorza. I'm here working in Lubbock as a HVAC sales manager.
Hi, my name is Neil. I'm electrical engineer at TEC.
Hi, my name is Austin Mirth, and I'm a mechanical engineer at Texas Tech University.
Hello, everyone. My name is Narcis Salala, and I'm also a mechanical engineer here at Texas Tech.
And last but not least, I'm Kingston. I'm an electrical engineering major at Texas Tech University.
Okay, thank you, CrewSense. Go ahead and share your screen.
Like a plan.
And y'all have it? Okay, sweet. Y'all have it on your perfect.
Yes, I can
Wait, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. We are CrewSense, and we are projected to be an essential application for the construction industry to perform the daily duties. With my experience in the field, I have noticed a few problems. And in this next short video, we will show you how I've noticed others experiencing some of these problems firsthand.
Greg, a small business developer, working to finish building his site. He walks into work to find himself talking to tens of different contractors and hundreds of employees to keep track of his building progress. With all this work, he has less time to focus on networking and finding resources like raw materials, as well as hiring more contractors and employees. After going over through the plan, he realizes that he spent $1.2 million on installing 20 light poles, which took him 2 years to finish. Meet Bob, a contractor hired by Greg. Half of his time gets wasted trying to collaborate with other contractors to follow up and finish where they left off. He has a hard time keeping track of his employees and their shifts to manage a perfect schedule for the week. Greg.
Just as that video said, when it comes to construction companies and those working in the construction industry in general, they're putting more time and more effort only to get less money due to non-essential project information and the excess time for communicating between different parties. Which is why CrewSense offers a unique solution, an application that manages project progress, deadlines, logistics, employee profiles, and multiple parties. But more importantly, a solution that helps streamline communication between companies and contractors to help cut down on that time, to give back that time, effort, and that money that these companies are losing. Why we have value? Well, our goal is simply to do this by centralizing project information and streamlining updates from both sides to ensure that everyone's on the same page and is able to do the job more efficiently because of that. We also wanted to have a simplified layout and interactive interface, so this is an easy to use platform. Which goes into what we did our customer discovery. We contacted over 20 contracting and construction companies, finding that 75% of these companies that answered us currently use project management software. 25% were interested in a simplified interface, but most notably, over 90% of answering companies thought that communication could be improved, regardless of if they already had project management software. Which gets into our customer segment. Our main customers are going to be the construction and contracting companies, which will be using this product. So how does it work? Well, you simply bring up the application and it shows you mostly 3 different things that we want to emphasize. Project updates, so they can be seen at a quick pace and in real time. Multi-party communication, that way there's no more lag time between looking through a bunch of calls and emails to find the time needed or to find the actual information needed, as well as project timelines and tasks, all ensuring that everyone is on the same page. This can also be seen on the next page, which shows first a communication log, project updates, and the calendar, which people can use to either look at the current timeline or for individual employees to do things like, say, request time off. We're planning on profit, a subscription-based system. So basically you pay a yearly fee for it, and a premium tiered pricing system. That way you only pay for the features you need. We recognize that multiple construction and contracting companies have their own different needs. Some of them don't need as much, some of them do. And for that, they can pay for what they need. Our next steps we're planning on doing right now is customer networking so that companies can find customers easier in the future, as well as customizable project templates. That way, companies that are using this project product can simply find what type of project they're going for and customize it so they can use it in their actual projects. Questions for us?
Thank you, CareerSense. Judges, want to open up the floor to any questions or feedback?
Yeah, I'll give it a start. So can you tell us a little bit about, are you familiar with the competition in this space? As far as like you said, that, you know, they already use this project management software. Is there any other kind of collaboration software solution in the market that you're aware of, or are they usually, how are they usually handling it? Are they building it into their software, or are they just doing it on emails and pen and paper? Like what's the existing problem? And are there other solutions to it?
When it comes to communication between multiple parties for these companies, yes, 75% of them that we at least answered us were able to use the management software. But what they mostly do is it's either already built in, which is a rare case, or they have to go to another application for it, Microsoft Teams. Or in other cases, which is actually one we found increasingly active, they have to just go through a bunch of calls and emails in order to find out different project information. They have to CC everyone that needs to be on these different calls, which is why we just want to streamline this communication so it's all in one place and you don't have to waste extra time trying to find out.
So you're talking about obviously an enormous marketplace if you're looking at construction across the entire spectrum. So what's a good entry point for you to bring this idea? Is there a good place to start?
Yes, there is actually. Through local construction and contracting companies, which don't have humongous okay, go ahead.
I can answer that. So, you know, like I said, I'm an HVAC sales manager here locally, and I could definitely, present this to several HVAC companies here in the Dallas area. I've got a good network there of companies that I know of that could use this.
And based off that, we can introduce those companies to a project demo, which will simply show out how the application works. And from that, they can decide if they want to use it in the future.
So, and one follow-up to that also, so most of them are using some sort of project management software. Is this integrated or is it a separate platform?
So I can answer this one. So what Parkhill Smith and Cooper, for example, uses is a program called Newforma, which is document integration for engineers, contractors, owners, and architects. And it's limited because it's not communicating directly to the it's not a whole team communication, but rather just upper communication, and it's more just document sharing. And then there's another software called Service Titan, which it's sort of like what we're doing, but again, it's our focus is basically leadership. Trying to figure out how to describe this. It gives leadership a way to communicate directly with the lowers, so that everyone can sort of stay on the same page, while also making it so there's not too much communication and stuff doesn't get clouded out. So, for example, whenever it's used by a contractor and they have some electricians go in and get their work done, the way that we see the flow happening is, so the electricians will go in, they'll do all their stuff, they'll have like a little thing that they fill out, and then the crew lead of the electricians will then go in and like check it off on the app, so that everyone who the information is important to will go in and they'll be able to see it. It could be like a push notification. Moreover, if there's a specific manager or whatever, like someone's on a computer, they can check it all in more detail on a web page. So
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Crescent. Great job. Okay, you guys can unshare. And now I want to welcome up Team 3, Generation C. Now, this weekend we had 47 ideas that were pitched and only 9 teams made it. So it was a very competitive year, just like every year. Team 3, Generation C, go ahead and introduce everyone and share your department.
Hi, can you see my screen?
Yeah, can you share
Okay.
your camera as well?
Oh, yes, of course.
Awesome.
Okay, we can start out by introducing our team. I'm Ashley Beard, an electrical engineering major.
Kevin Lee, a computer engineering major.
I'm Martin Fitzpatrick, computer engineering.
Hello, I'm Jacob Holyoke, a computer engineering sophomore at Texas Tech.
Hi, I'm Jason Luco, a computer engineering major.
Okay, so we can get started. This is the business pitch for our business, Generation C, or you can call us Gen C for short. You just met our team, so I can move on. Did the slide change for you guys?
No, it did not. Go ahead and try it again.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
So after their careful thought and consideration, our team determined that many of the problems surrounding cigars is that most of the younger generation doesn't know anything about them. And furthermore, the connotation with cigars is that they're fancy when really anyone can enjoy them. Also, people don't really want to go out of their way to try cigars because they're not common. And people who don't know anything about cigars would be really intimidated walking into a cigar store for their first time. And I believe that people at their core are really indecisive and reluctant to try new things. And also, cigars are commonly compared to cigarettes when really they're very different. And so our company's solution to these problems is to have a monthly subscription where a box full of cigars will come to the buyer's front door so it's most convenient for them. This will give people and existing users an easy way to try cigars and experiment with them. For new users, we will also include a fact sheet on our website and in the box to inform new users about cigars. For example, people don't really realize that you don't inhale the cigar smoke. You just have it in your mouth to get the flavor, but you just breathe it out. And on the left, you can see an ad with Ronald Reagan saying you need not inhale to enjoy a cigar. Lastly, the box will help the buyer to try different types of cigars that they wouldn't normally on their own. And one of the steps that we took through our customer discovery is we created a survey with these 6 questions. What do you know about smoking cigars? What do you think when cigars come to mind? Why do or don't you currently smoke cigars? How often would you smoke a cigar? And how many cigars would you smoke a month? And lastly, what do you look for in a subscription-based service? And we sent the survey out to a bunch of our peers around our age. And from there, we learned that 9 out of 14 people we surveyed know little to nothing about cigars. And 8 out of 14 people we surveyed associate cigars with old men or means of celebrating something. 5 out of 14 people we surveyed haven't gotten into smoking cigars because they find them to be expensive or they simply just don't see the appeal. The same amount of people surveyed said that they would smoke a cigar a few times a month. And 8 out of 14 people we surveyed said that they are looking to get their money's worth in a subscription-based service. And so our company's hypothetical competition would be other cigar box subscription services or cigar smoke shops. But our company is better because we're more convenient in the sense that we send the box to the customer's front door. And we also take the decision-making process away from the customer to, in a way, encourage them to try something they wouldn't normally do. And part of the draw with cigars is the feeling of exclusivity, and our company will stay consistent with that while make smoking cigars less intimidating for the younger generation. And through some more research we did with similar companies, one thing that was consistent across the board is that most cigar companies don't let you pay for subscription month to month. They make you pay in durations of 3 to 12 months, and there's no one-time subscription available. But our company will offer that to make it more appealing to the younger generation. And as I said earlier, our target market is people of age who are in college, so around 20 to 25 years old. And these people usually have low income. So our goal of our company is to expose these younger people to smoking and allow them to be a part of something that is stereotypically enjoyed by old men while making it financially available for them. And so specifically, our company will send out a monthly box of 3, 5, or 7 cigars based off a customer's subscription. From there, the user gives feedback on that month's box for a more refined selection on next month's box. If the customer particularly likes one cigar, they can order more through our company at a discounted rate. And our company, as I said earlier, will allow the customer to pause their subscription at any time. For prices, we would sell a box of 3 cigars for $25, 5 for $30, and 7 for $35. To set this up, we would need to have like a platform, like a website to sell this on. And when the customer has a monthly subscription, they obviously get a box and cigars and a moisture locking bag, matches, and a cutter for their first month.
1 minute.
Moving forward, most of us are working on our degrees, so we don't have the time, energy, or money to further this idea, but my brother and I are the ones that kind of came up with this, and he wants to explore this idea more in the future. And to wrap it up, I think Demi Moore says it best. There's something about smoking a cigar that feels like a celebration. It's like a fine wine. There's a quality, a workmanship, a passion that goes into the smoking of a fine cigar.
Thank you, Team 3. I want to open up the floor to any questions or feedback from the judges.
Hi, Ashley. This is Kevin. So I think what you have going on is sort of interesting, but in general, I think that people that are willing to spend money on a subscription are usually going to be people that are enthusiasts. And in your case, it sounds like your goal is to market to people that are the opposite of that are not enthusiasts. So I'm curious how you plan to bridge that gap. You know, how do you convince people that are not enthusiasts to spend money every month on something they don't know anything about?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I would say that we would probably do more research on how to market to people who aren't into it, because we're all engineering majors, we're not marketing majors. So that's something that is more foreign to us. But I believe it's possible because, I mean, years ago, vaping was really new, and now most of the younger generation does it. So I think going down that route would be beneficial.
I had the same thought that you are obviously focused on developing a new demographic of interested cigar smokers and educating the market a little bit. But my question just kind of went the other direction, just from information. Do you know what the cigar market is like right now? I mean, how are they gaining smokers? Are they losing them? Do you know the shape of that market in general?
I know that the market was really doing well when Cuban cigars were not allowed into the United States, because of course, when you're not allowed to do something, it just makes you want to do it more. So I feel like it's a consistent market. I mean, I got into it because my dad does it. And I think it's consistent like with among people who are older and they get their friends into it, and it's just like a never ending cycle.
What is your ethical strategy going forward? I mean, I'm sure you're going to hear people say, well, your value proposition is to get more young people to acquire smoking. So how do you plan to combat that problem?
I would say that, I mean, vaping isn't particularly good for you, and many young people do it. Drinking alcohol isn't particularly good for you, and many young people do it. And I would say many young people do it because of the status with it. And so that's, I guess, how that's like my strategy to get people into it. But I would say as long as you're a consenting adult and you know all the facts, you can straightforward do whatever you want. Smoking cigarettes, it says that it causes cancer on every box, but people still buy them. So me personally, I don't see an ethical dilemma, because if a consenting adult agrees to that and knows all the facts and they suffer consequences, that's particularly on them.
Okay.
Does that answer your
awesome.
question?
Okay, thank you, Team 3. Y'all can go ahead and stop sharing. And now I want to open up the floor to Team 4, STEM and Leaf Co. Now this team, anytime I came into their Zoom room, their breakout room, they always greeted me with warm vibes. So they're just a sweet little bunch. So Team 3, I know, Team 3, Team 4, go ahead and share your screen. And introduce everyone and share what department you're in.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Grace Gomez. I am a junior electrical engineering major here at Texas Tech.
My name is Michaela Kreitz. I am a junior in computer engineering here at Texas Tech.
Hi, my name is Arida Christensen, and I'm an electrical engineering major, and I'm a senior.
Hi, my name is Aria Netter, and I'm a junior in electrical engineering.
Hi, my name is Natalia Vallejo, and I'm an electrical engineering student, senior.
Hi, my name is Natalie Owens, and I am an electrical engineer sophomore.
I wanted to thank you guys for coming out. We are STEM and Leaf Co. So as you heard, we're all girls, but more importantly than that, we're all girls in STEM, which is a really rare thing to find a group of people in STEM that are all women. And this comes from us being encouraged by our parents and teachers to pursue STEM, especially starting from a really young age. And they did this a bunch of different ways, from after school programs to programs at museums or summer camps, or even projects at home. And that's the problem that we felt like we identified, was there are a lot of parents that don't know that they should be encouraging their young students, particularly girls, to pursue STEM, or if they do know, sometimes they just don't know how. And there's not enough access to hands-on STEM activities. There's not enough opportunities for engaging education about STEM outside of the classroom. But most importantly, for young girls, there's a lack of representation for women in STEM. This was our solution. It is a box that encourages students, particularly young girls, to nurture their curiosity about STEM. We do this through hands-on activities that look at the world through a STEM-based lens. Most importantly of all, though, for our team, it shows a diverse representation of women in STEM through our online learning modules. There are similar STEM kit boxes that are our competition, such as KiwiCo, Oyster, and Amazon sells some kits like that. And they range from $25 to $40, similar price range as ours, and they sell them in individual kits and monthly subscriptions. But we are different from them because we're made all by women, representing a female diversity in STEM. When we did our customer discovery, we interviewed nearly 50 people, including teachers, students, parents, and non-parents. And the thing that we heard most of all was that there's not enough hands-on opportunities in STEM in the classroom. Many of the parents that we interviewed said they already use some online supplemental material, which means that they would be ready to integrate into our online learning modules. And 64% of parents that we surveyed said that they would purchase a monthly kit. This led us to our customer segment, which is parents of students ages 4 through 12 who are invested in their children's education, particularly as it pertains to STEM. But most importantly, our customer segment is parents of young girls who are interested in STEM. We expect them to be middle-class families making greater than $45,000 a year. So what is in our STEM box? Our STEM kits include project design materials, prompts and written instructions, STEM worksheets and calculations, and access to online learning modules. The online learning modules are taught by all women. We also have modules that relate the kits to specific STEM professions, as well as how they pertain to history. There are 3 different ways to purchase the product: monthly subscriptions, individual kits, and bulk kits for educational organizations. The monthly subscriptions cost an average of $10 more than the individual kits because they allow access to all of the online learning modules. The monthly subscriptions are also slightly more intense than the individual kits. We're expecting to produce our product at approximately $15 per kit. The resources that we would need to start selling are advertisements and customer bases. So for advertisements, we would use YouTube children product review channels to hopefully promote our product to children, and also word of mouth by encouraging teachers to encourage their young students, particularly girls, to pursue this avenue of education. The resources we need to start are a website and app domain, partnership with companies for materials, and lessons plans and activities. The next steps for us are more customer discovery, finding funding, and prototyping our product. Thank you for listening. Are there any questions?
Thank you, STEM and Leaf Co. Judges, any questions or feedback?
Yes, this is John Duffy. You know, I thought this was absolutely fabulous. And my first question is, are you actually contemplating doing this?
I need to discuss with my group, but I do have a desire to pursue this. It just depends on how we can all fit it into our schedules.
So just a comment, you know, in my introduction, I said that, you know, part of my job is making investments for a living. And I know a lot about these types of subscription services.
Yeah.
If we were doing this for real and you were asking me for capital, I would be very interested in your thoughts about what it'll cost you to acquire a customer and what you anticipate or have sort of proven to be the lifetime value of your customer. Frankly, besides sort of the product and the idea which you sold me at Hello, those are the only 2 things I would care about. And so if you're going to move forward, I would spend a lot of time thinking about that.
Yeah.
Good luck, because the world does need something like this. It's awesome.
I agree. Thank you.
Grace, I want to echo John's comments. I think that this is a fantastic idea. I love the premise. But one of the things that wasn't totally clear to me is what exactly you're going to be providing. Is it a box? Is it an online portal? Is it a box that mates with an online portal so that people can like use some of the things in the box, but also interface with some software? And sort of as a corollary to that, I think that it's critical with a subscription-based service like this to make sure that it doesn't feel like school. You know, maybe it is school, but you know, you said something about doing worksheets. Like I can't envision, you know, people like getting a worksheet and being like, hooray, I'm paying money to like do a worksheet at home, right? I mean, maybe a parent would feel that way, but I think the more you can turn this into something fun, something exciting and educational, the better off you'll be. So yeah, just like John said, I love this idea. I think you guys should imagine how you would go forward and maybe keep those things in mind as you do.
Yeah, definitely. Just to clarify, I guess, about the online learning module, what the kit is exactly. So the kit, you would be provided with like the physical materials that you would need to build a STEM design. Like if you were gonna build a ramp, we'd give you like the materials to build a ramp. And then online, we would have modules that discussed how to build the project and then what the project meant. So it would talk about like what gravity is and why the ball went down the ramp. So that's kind of how the box and the online learning module would tie together.
Hey, Grace. So I founded the Women in STEAM Graduate Club at Texas Tech. STEAM is STEM with an A for agriculture. And I also was the animal science coordinator and instructor for Shake Hands with Your Future and Science It's a Girl Thing, which were youth camps for STEM on campus. And every day in the camp, we didn't do projects. I took them to do experiences on field trips. So I think if you can really focus in on kind of what Kevin said and making it feel like an experience, then a worksheet, I think that what will make young girls love science.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the advice. Definitely try to do that.
We have time for one more question.
So I applaud you on your efforts, especially as a female professor, and I think I'm personally studying STEM education too. So I wanted to know, so like, how did you decide on your price point? And currently, according to STEM education literature, so to attract women more into STEM, so there are different outside class activities is absolutely important.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, like, how you going to, especially what a typical kit entails. Earlier, you mentioned what if you want to make a project, make a ramp, and then you have instruction. So I think only based on that is not enough. So like girls is not just typically attracted to building. It's not like how boys function.
Yeah.
So other than that, what else are you thinking about, and how are you thinking about, why do you set a price points like this?
That's definitely a good question. I think the price point might be the thing that we as a group like fleshed out the least. And we did discuss things with like parents, and they were talking about how they would pay more for their kids than they would for themselves. So we did as a group consider increasing the price point. We just haven't done enough research right now into exactly how much a box would actually cost. So it's a very broad estimate right now. But about how we're going to encourage girls specifically, instead of just like giving them something to build. So the intent behind the box is not that you'd be given, here are the instructions to build this thing. It would be more like, here are a list of materials, like you get so many materials, now build or create the thing that will throw something the farthest or stand the tallest or something like that, so that it's more abstract in the design than just point A to point B, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you, STEM and Leaf Co. Great job. Alrighty, now I want to welcome up Team 5, Glow Mimo. Go ahead and share your screen. Now we had some teams that stayed up very late. Some teams stayed up to 2 a.m. I think the latest that we saw was 2:10. And so the teams really, really worked hard this weekend and did a lot of behind the scenes work, Glow Mimo being one of them. So Glow Mimo, feel free to go ahead and share your screen and then have everyone share who they are and what department they're from.
Hi, I'm Chris Pedersen, and I'm studying plant and microbial ecology for my PhD here at Texas Tech and here at Glow Mimo.
Hi, I'm Danielle East, and I'm a local artist.
Hello, my name is Mohammed. I'm from the Department of Physics and Astronomy and Divinity, and I'm also a researcher.
Go ahead and speak a little bit louder so we can hear you. Glow Mimo, y'all still there?
Oh, see, hold on.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I got you. Okay, so my name is Josue Lugaro, and I'm a computer science major here at Texas Tech.
And I'm John Amaya, and I'm a computer engineering senior.
Hello, my name is Mohammed, and I'm from the Department of Physics and Astronomy, and I'm an undergrad researcher as well.
All right. So we're starting now, sorry for the time. 9% of loss. So 9% between 2015 and 2019 is the average percent yield loss from the National Cotton Council of America due to different diseases and pathogens. Preventable disease. Cotton in agriculture is the lifeblood of our region. When cotton crops are lost or damaged to the point where they cannot flower, growers and their livelihood are at risk. I mean, look at this loss. loss in the cotton belt due to disease and seedling disease, even just seedling disease. And this is back in the 90s. We have huge losses in like millions of dollars of loss. And you have the economy of the cotton belt being detrimentally affected by devastating loss caused by pathogens. I chose the path of plant microbial ecology because I wanted to understand the needs of communities and improve the lives of local stakeholders. It's frustrating because as scientists, we have the data and technology available to predict threats, but why don't existing predictions include the data about the microbes themselves? So I asked at the Academy of Sciences meeting in Seattle in February to Mario Zappacosta, who is the project lead of the FAO NASA Global Information Early Warning System for Food, just that. Why don't we include a microbial layer? And he said, if you figure out how to do that, then let me know. So moving forward in our customer discovery with this idea, we surveyed responses from around the world, but majorly Lubbock. Most agriculture and public sector and responses also from engineers were early careers, so from 1 to 5 years or all the way up to 20 plus years in the field. The tools that they used the most were web applications, models, and devices, and most people value information that is both predictive and real time, but the real time is actually more valuable to them. We found that weekly and seasonal timing increments are most important, but what we saw over across the board is that every timing was important, so this adaptability of a time is most essential. So the tools that they used the most were web application. We found that the greatest challenge, though, that was currently posed by the tools that everyone used was that, that the data was unreliable, as well as we needed things coming back to us in predictive and real time. So there was this lack of microbial data, as well as we needed a need for incremental scalability, and also incorporating looking at water systems, so different types of wastewater systems. So that moves into our customer segment. So though our initial focus was just farmers and in Lubbock, working with the local economy, we found that this would also benefit insurance agencies, investment firms, wastewater treatment, healthcare, as well as national agencies such as like USDA or innovation agencies like Seagrass. GlowMemo is an inquiry-based predictive service that identifies the critical factors in pathogen management. With solutions from our global microbial modeling platform, farmers and stakeholders can plan for the future with more accuracy and less loss. Why does this matter? GlowMemo uses smart modeling that's based off of historical data and predictive technologies. This identifies and flags the optimal conditions for spread of disease. So this distinguishes the magnitude of risk for the bottom lines on critical management practices. When it comes to a farmer that needs to make a plan about what to do for the next year with a limited amount of money, it's absolutely essential that he has thresholds and understanding where he can decide to make cuts on different sorts of expenditures. So the value proposition is that there's nothing else like this. The only thing that incorporates sort of like a smart learning platform, well, there's nothing, but there are things that incorporate different layers of data and sorts of scalable data sets, but they do not incorporate this accuracy, this scalability, and then being able to provide this at a scalable, cost-efficient way. So thank you with GlowMemo and the Global Microbial Modeling Platform. We are prepared.
Thank you, GlowMemo. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, that was it.
Okay, awesome. All right, judges, questions, feedback?
So I am not the most agriculturally experienced person in the panel, but I do have my master's in ag comm, and I'm thinking about just the sales side, and I'm not 100% clear on what you're selling. Is it the data, or is it the platform itself for collecting the microbial data to then utilize?
So we would build a platform that analyzes historical data to build with machine learning so that we can have kind of smart learning algorithms. So we could partner with universities to be able to test and retest, and then also we would be to start in Lubbock, we could act as a consulting like step by step and just being able to kind of work with farmers, understand what their needs are, and be able to give them predictions based off of our models of the actual factors that they would need to be managing for. So whenever you have a system, you have all the different microbes, including pathogens in it. The only time it becomes a problem is when it's out of balance. So too much water, or now all of a sudden you have too many nutrients, or all of a sudden you're having different factors that make this a crisis situation. So rather than giving you, okay, well, you need to do this with 5%. Instead, we're going to be giving thresholds of, okay, these are the things that you need to be worried about this year. You need to be worried about either temperature, controlling for temperature. You need to be worried about pesticide treatment because this is a vector for this type of fungus or something. So using this microbial data that's largely kind of not tapped into and looked a lot of times as kind of like a snapshot in time, we can create a way to utilize it for predictive and also real-time solutions.
Specifically for a customer, so you're providing the service.
So we would provide it to a customer to build up the system and make sure that we could provide a reliable product. And then once we kind of start populating and building those algorithms, then you could do something. Microbial data sets are terabytes of data. They're like the largest data sets known to man. So if you wanted to work with someone, and pair it up with FAO and NASA, and work with them and be able to make this a layer on their data sets, you would need to partner with US Department, of Energy that has exascale computing. You'd need to have the capacity to be able to work with that level, that sort of computing power. And so it's not that it's impossible or that it would be hard. It's just that it's a different level of scale and we need to scale up or down. And it's because the program is inquiry based and it's scalable, that would kind of change the parameters. So. Thank you. Sorry.
Awesome. Thank you, Glomimo.
Thank you.
Now I want to welcome up Team 6 with CC Box. Go ahead and share your screen. Now, this team worked very hard. They were also one of the teams that stayed up till 2 a.m. This team also had many pivots, and that kind of speaks to the heart of this program and just the startup world. And they managed to collaborate, work together, be creative, and get to a place where they're going to be presenting to you guys today. So CC Box, go ahead and share everyone on the team and what department you're from.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexis Wilson, and I am a senior here at Texas Tech University, and I'm a communication studies major.
Hi, my name is Andy Kim, and I'm a computer engineering undergraduate at Texas Tech.
Hi, my name is Briley Corrales, and I'm a sophomore at Texas Tech studying electrical engineering.
Hello, my name is Kalea Hicks, and I'm a sophomore at Texas Tech University majoring in computer engineering.
Riley, you want to take us out?
The Yangtze giant softshell turtle, the Sumatran rhinoceros, and the Sphinx's macaw. All three of these creatures have one thing in common. They all went extinct in 2019. Next slide. The humpback whale, the mountain gorilla, and the bald eagle. All three of these creatures have one thing in common as well. Conservation nonprofits save these species from extinction. Next slide.
So how do we actually support conservation efforts that save the whales, the eagles, and the gorillas? We do it by moving away from existing donation model where your donations are not entirely used to support the very issue that caused you to donate in the first place. These conservation efforts need funds to accomplish their mission to save animals, and they need to accumulate these funds honestly and consistently, not only when a Harambe dies or Netflix releases a Tiger King documentary. Having recognized the problem of the donor model for animal conservation being impersonal, inconsistent, and not fully tapping into the wallets of a passionate consumer and donor base, we all love animals after all, we sent out a questionnaire that my teammate Bradley will go over next to explore the validity of the problem that we have identified. Next slide.
To begin the customer discovery process, we sent out a questionnaire to our social and professional networks that covered their donating habits, opinions on animal conservation, and general questions about their demographics. We received 113 responses. The customer discovery process destroyed our preconceived notions about the wildlife donation model and validated our hypothesis. We realized, number one, consumers donate to animal conservation causes. To the extent where the survey had many people complain, animal concerns receive too much funding in comparison to human concerns. Number two, consumers want an easier way to donate to the causes they care about, and they want to know how their donations are actually helping. Next slide.
So we have now identified the barriers and needs that prompt donors and consumers from a wide net of socioeconomic backgrounds. How do we get them? By preaching the 4 core tenets of our value proposition without compromise: trust, consistency, impact, and community. Trust. We want our users to have faith that 100% of your donation goes to the issue and not a new espresso machine. We will be transparent about exactly how your funds are being utilized. For example, your monthly contribution this month, the past year, provided food and shelter for X number of family of beavers. 2, consistency. Animals do not have the luxury of waiting for another Harambe for people to donate. Our business model will allow animal conservation organizations to tap into a community more than eager to contribute funds towards animal conservation. 3, impact. Donors want transparency. Donors want a personalized connection to the cause. It is why they donate in the first place. But most importantly, donors want to know they're making a difference. Through an interactive dashboard made available through a web and mobile application, donors will be able to see the compounded consequences of their contributions over the past month, the past year, and so on. 4, community. We want to share the things we support. We have an innate social nature to be part of a group and experience life together, not alone. Consider how intimately people interact with Facebook groups and Instagram pages focused on animal conservation efforts. Now imagine, rather than upvotes and likes, and instead of being a passive consumer, you can now be proactive with your attention and your wallet with an online and mobile community and be involved in making a real difference. So what is next slide? So what is CCBox and what is our solution to improving the donation model as it exists? We will be promoting a 3-tier box subscription program that rewards consumers and donors with knowing that 100% of the contribution goes to an entourage of wildlife conservation groups. This CCBox, as it will be called, will include an assortment of toys, branded merchandising, regional snacks, apparel and accessories. Next slide. Regional snacks, apparel and accessories, a unique VR experience to exceed the impact of your contribution. We will not only be able to reel in a consumer donor base with an experienced economy approach of events, merchandise, and snacks for the whole family unit, but also cultivate a thriving community of repeat subscribers. The inevitable wide adoption of our subscription model will bolster animal conservation efforts with a reliable feedback loop of funds, a personalized outreach platform to foster lifelong generational relationships amongst its subscribers. But who will these subscribers be? Bradley will let us know in the next slide.
Through our customer discovery process, we were able to determine our target demographics, the majority being Gen X's who are part of family units, for example, parents and grandparents. Additionally, we discovered a future customer base. Gen Z is one of the most interested groups in animal conservation, but currently this generation lacks disposable income because the majority of them are young adults or students. Next slide. Having concluded that our target demographic is largely those with means with a demonstrated pattern of support for their concerns, we believe a 3-tier price point is the best way forward. These 3 tiers allow our targeted user base belonging to a wide range of socioeconomical backgrounds to feel comfortable knowing that there is a way for them to give back to their issue and concerns as well. We determine these price points by using the data obtained during our customer discovery process. Most answers referring to the amount donated on a monthly basis fell in between $20 to $100.
Next slide.
So, yeah, next slide.
So this slide is primarily to serve as a reference point for the Q&A, as well as to show the audience how we were able to formulate our presentation slide deck, with each node being clearly identified and addressed, from the problem we are addressing to our proposed solution to the validity of our value propositions being backed up by the questionnaire responses. We'll linger there for a
Awesome.
minute. And then next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Team 6. Judges, I would love to open up the floor to any questions or feedback.
I have a quick one. So great presentation. I really like what you guys started out with the data. I think one of the primary questions I have is you talked a little bit about the perception of people and how they perceive this donation thing. And you touched momentarily on transparency, but I don't think you really dove into that. So what would your strategy be to avoid being seen as a business that happens to donate a little bit versus a vehicle for donations, and how would you approach that transparency? Because when I'm thinking about a box, I'm thinking about like, okay, most of this money is going toward the box and some profits, and then whatever's left over, like 5-10%, goes to the actual cause that I want to support. So how do you bridge that gap as far as transparency and as far as donation, like making people feel comfortable that they're actually not just getting something that they like, but that their money is going somewhere that's important to them?
So for us, that would be the interactive dashboard that we would intend to set up on web and mobile. And this would allow users to see each dollar value going to which. So some charity models have adopted this model as well. So they'll say, if you donate $60 this month, this will feed a family of 2 with water for the next month or so. So we will do a similar approach with the value amount that people have subscribed to in terms of the tiers. And then the revenue streams from sponsorships and partnerships and general virtue. So this is a cause where we don't need to seek out a consumer base. People already donate and en masse, as we recognize. So we just need to make it more efficient and trim some of the overhead.
I think our biggest idea is that what you donate actually goes to the cause.
So are you trying to be the?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Are you trying to be the middleman between like donors and the nonprofits?
We're trying to serve as some sort of a little bit more of an accreditation platform. So how there's already like BBB ratings and B Corp rating for industry like companies that are operating ethically, but we want to provide that to the nonprofit donor model.
So
and it's
how
also
do you compare? So how do you compare that with the existing model like crowdfunding, that people can already directly give money to their organizations? So this is already a lot more direct than through a middleman, right?
So people who love animals, it's not like they're saying we love turtles, but we hate the whales. They support a wide variety of animal conservation issues. So what we want to provide like a connecting link platform between all these organizations, from Save the Turtles to the whales to the grizzly bears, and provide the users a one-shop platform to support their causes.
And if I can add something to that real quickly, I think part of the idea is also making it more intimate. If you donate directly to a crowdfunding or like a Kickstarter, you don't necessarily get to be part of the experience.
Right. So it's like a personalized experience. It's more than just cutting a check or putting $20 on like an online portal.
I know Kara had a question earlier. Go ahead.
Hey, yes, I was just confused. Like, how do you make money? Do you consider yourself a for-profit company or a nonprofit? And what is your business strategy and business revenue model?
Our business model is basically help people use their money more efficiently. So like I said, part of our revenue stream is human virtue, right? There's an entire demographic of individuals here and otherwise who want to donate consistently en masse and in rather high values over long periods of time. But a lot of them, they're hesitant to donate because of the lack of transparency, lack of trust, and they can see that the money isn't exactly going to the cause. It's paying for personnel, it's paying for administration costs, which will be a factor, but we're hoping to offset that by all these partnerships, sponsorships, the limited merchandise drops to the subscription model.
And it is a nonprofit.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, CC Box. Great presentation. All right, let's move forward with Team 7, Launchpad. Now this team came in strong and came in passionate, and even though they pivoted a little bit, they kind of kept the same mission and drive of what the heart of their company is. Team 7, go ahead and share your screen. And would love to have introductions, name and department from each one of you guys, and then get started.
Hey guys, my name is Luka Bilic. I'm a freshman here at Texas Tech and I'm majoring in mechanical engineering. I'm going to let my fellow astronauts introduce themselves.
Hey guys, my name is Sai Satvik Chakala. I'm a graduate student in computer science at Texas Tech.
Hello, and my name is Jency Daniel. I am an undergrad senior at Texas Tech and I'm in computer science as well.
So I think we are good to go. Should we start? Okay. Hey guys, hello. Oh, sorry. So we are Launchpad. Next slide. So we are all here for the same reason, but Houston, we have a problem. We have spent the last few days working on startup ideas that we believe in and have a vision for. Next slide. But 90% of startups fail. Why, you ask? Lack of funds or resources, connections, or publicity. Next slide. Now imagine you have launched a new startup and you're really passionate about your idea, but you got some hurdles, specifically like finding customers, investors, partners, and potential employees. So there comes Launchpad. We address struggles to find customers, difficulty in accumulating funds, problems in developing partnerships, lack of publicity, issues in finding employees. Next one. Our vision, a startup for startups. We dream of a world where startups won't fail because of things out of their control. We aim to fill the world with more opportunity and promote new visions to be brought in life. We believe good ideas are meant to be successful, right? Next. Next slide.
So we had some customer discovery. So we asked who is interested in startups, what kind of things are you interested in, and are you a fan of product and service review videos? And overwhelming majority, next slide. Overwhelming majority said that they're curious about startups and specifically startups in the technology niche. And we also discovered that people rely on product reviews to determine whether to purchase a product or a service. And so we created a platform where people can learn about innovative startups and find reviews on many companies and their products. Next slide.
So what do we offer? What does Launchpad provide to both startups and users? Well, we provide a solution to all of these problems that were mentioned in earlier slides that new startups traditionally face when they're starting out. And this way value is brought to both parties. So here, there's a list of value for startups and users that we provide, and I will be going through them. So envision us as a social media for startups. Startups can post information about what they're doing, their products, their journey and goals. Think of us as a LinkedIn, but for startups instead of individuals. So here, there can be video and text posts by these startups that users can follow and engage with. So startups post content, users engage with them. That way users learn about startups and innovations. Users can buy from startups through our platform and affiliate links. Also through our platform, users can donate through the Launchpad to startups, and employment opportunities can be learned about through the Launchpad as well. So what do the startups get from this? Why would they buy our membership? Well, first of all, there's a free account for startups that allow them to post on the social media platform and communicate with other startups to facilitate those relationships. Additionally, there's a premium account for startups that will allow them to be put on our featured page on the social media area that gets more exposure and publicity. Additionally, they can also communicate with individuals, users on the platform to try to hire them. Similar to how in LinkedIn you need to pay to have the feature to be able to communicate with each other, this would be also applied here. This way startups get the equipment and support needed to complete their mission. So what do the users get from this? Well, through our social media aspect, users can keep tabs on their favorite startups, which allow them to learn of beta testing opportunities, receive special rewards and discounts from startups, and participate in giveaways. It's just a way for a user or regular person to keep track of companies that they enjoy and like and are interested in, and new products that may be coming out. So we think there could be a newsletter for the users. Users can receive a newsletter in their inbox containing information on some of the most innovative and groundbreaking startups out there that we feel are very just groundbreaking and innovative. Users are exposed to different potential investment opportunities through this as well. And there are promo codes and discounts offered through the newsletter with partnerships with the startups that will gain them more publicity and purchasers as well. We also have a startup of the week and month feature where every week and month a startup is highlighted that we believe is just very innovative and groundbreaking. There's also a review area and platform as well. Imagine us as a Yelp of business. So instead of on Yelp, you go on Yelp to review different restaurants and their menu items. You go onto our platform to review different startups and their products. This way you just have a one-stop platform to learn about different companies and their products. We also provide employment search. Like I mentioned, people interested in working at companies can upload their resume onto their profile. Startups can browse through different profiles and see if there's anyone they would be interested in hiring, and they can also list positions they're looking to fill on their profile themselves. We also provide different events, which I will quickly touch on because we're running out of time. We have a yearly conference where startups can come and just kind of present themselves, and we can have college students and other innovators come and visit and see different startups and if they would be interested in joining them and being employed at them or just investing in them.
So we looked at our competitors, and so Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Fundable, Fund Anything, and AngelList are all competitors, but we, on our end, Launchpad offers an annual fee, access to 100% of the funds that you get, employment offers between startups and their users, and publicity for newsletters and all, and connectivity between startups so that they can get in touch with others and collaborate. Next slide. So our price point around would be at $30K to build out a website and market, as well as upkeep the platform with programmers and users. And we will receive revenue through affiliate links, membership packages, and ad revenue. Next.
Time's up, so just finish this last slide, please.
Okay, sure. We have more customer discovery to determine pricing of membership plans and target audience. So depending on who is interested in what, and we must raise capital and find investors and design the platform. Next slide. And so that is our presentation. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Judges, opening up the floor to any questions or feedback.
It sounds like you're trying to do a whole lot. You said at one point that it's the LinkedIn, think about it as a LinkedIn for startups. And then later you said it was Yelp. And then your competition page, it looks like you're competing with a whole bunch of different products and services, trying to do everything all at the same time. It's a big leap to try to do all of that at once. If you had to do just one part of this vision and do that part well and then expand from there, like where would you see this starting if you could just do one thing well and then build on top of that?
That's a good question, and there's a lot of things that we definitely want to do and are interested in doing. I think the main thing that we should address is the issue that these startups have when they're just getting started out. So publicity, lack of funds, like I mentioned. So we would do that through the social media aspect, where this would be just a platform only for startups where they could post separate from these other big areas to post where they're kind of drowned out by all the noise. Is it just for startups? Startups can post information about them and what they're doing, and users can go and follow them, check them out. They can purchase through our website through affiliate links, and there can also be the newsletter to that. And then also we could incorporate reviews eventually where they can review the companies on their profiles.
I have a question. I think social media in general is popular, but by design, it requires kind of a groundswell of interest. And in your case, I think that that's a high bar. And part of the problem there, at least in my understanding from what you've described, is that you also want to charge fees for people to be members. So you've got kind of a tricky balance to strike there, because what you really need is a lot of people interested in this idea. But you're also dealing with the market segment that basically has no disposable income. They're working on a shoestring budget. So how do you fix that? Like, how do you get the mass appeal required, lots of members, but also keep the price point low enough that you can get all of them, you know?
Right, so that's a good question. And I'm sorry, I can say, and then you can go after me. But so the thing here is that's why there's a free, it's just free for any startup to come and just post their content and what they're doing. But you actually have to pay if you want to hire users, but that's a completely different feature. So we don't need to talk about that. We would market towards startups saying, hey, this is a platform only for startups where you can come, you can post about what you're doing. And we would market to innovators and investors, just different regular users saying, okay, here's a place you can figure out new beta testing opportunities or products to invest in or just cool things to learn about.
I'd like to add on to that. So our potential database for startups is like 100 million. There's so many ideas out there, but like we mentioned, it tends to get drowned out by all the bigger companies. So if you're trying to create something, you might be overshadowed by something that's already established. So we wanted to create a platform only for startups to get their foot in the door at least. So basically, this is a market that's open to only startups, but like once they get their foot in the door, then they'll just skyrocket.
Okay, thank you, Launchpad. Now I want to welcome up Team 8, which is Fun Finance. Now, whenever I went to this team's breakout room, they literally lived up to their name. They had a lot of fun working on what their idea is, and they collaborated very, very well together. And so Fun Finance, go ahead. Yeah, there you go. Share your screen. And would love to hear names and departments from everyone on the team.
So hello, my name is Kathy Hua. I'm a senior in the Texas Tech Rawls Accounting Department.
Hi, my name is OJ. I'm in the Personal Financial Planning Department, PhD student.
I'm Kobe Chromis. I'm a computer engineering junior.
My name is Michelle Wester. I'm a sophomore electrical engineering major.
I'm Rachel Reese and I'm a business major.
Okay, so I believe that's it and we're gonna start. Okay, so imagine a college student getting his first credit card. Exciting moment, right? And he says, oh wow, let's go use it. And he uses it left and right until the end of the month and he realizes, oh, there's a bill? I need to pay this back. I'm not paying it back. And just like throws the bill away without care, without realizing, oh, there are consequences and not turning back until years later. This is a real story and shows a problem that we have within the real life. So on our next slide, it says our problem is that we're trying to solve is that there's a financial literacy gap among teenagers. And they're going up into adult and going into the real world without knowing any financial education or what to do with their finance. What we believe is our solution or the cause of this is that there is little to no financial education in our school system. And if there is, it's not very consistent and it's not mandated for all the students to take it. So what we have done is that we've talked to different demographics on responding, and we got about 43 people to respond. And our results is that there is a gap between expectations versus reality. So on our next slide, we have on the bottom left, we have parent responses about who is responsible for teaching their kids about financial education. And the top choice was, yes, their parents themselves, but the second choice was the school itself district. While on the bottom right side, we see students' responses that, yes, the parents are mainly teaching them, but school is almost dead last of where they're getting their financial education experiences or they're learning from, right? Only second to last to their friends, which is a problem. Our solution is, on the next slide, is that we have a fun way to learn basic financial concepts using games and simulations, where we have it where they are learning, but they don't feel like they're learning. They're having fun, they're sharing the experience, and they want to go and join it. And it's going to go where it's their own pace, where we all start everyone in the same base level, and it gets harder progressively as they learn more and they solve more stuff, right? So we looked at our competitors. And we looked at each individual ones, and we see that our competitors specifically have just focused on one specific financial topic. Well, ours, and what makes us different, is that we have an idea of covering the whole thing, covering all in every different basic financial topics. And we want to teach all the kids in there, and we'll learn it steadily. And we'll have more details, and we'll pass it on to OJ.
Thank you, Kathy. So as she mentioned, we just have a screenshot of Duolingo, which is a language app. And based on a leveling system and experience, we're actually looking at having videos, games, and simulations that can actually help to build experience levels for students. They start at a base level, and then they increase their experience, and they can kind of determine where they are at for different financial concepts. If you go to the next slide, please. So for our price points, we're going to focus on the expenses and the revenue. For the expenses, we have a curriculum. For the curriculum, myself and Kathy, who are personal financial planning students, we're going to be working with our professors as well as teachers within the middle school and high school levels to kind of create the content. And for the next stage, which is the prototyping, we're going to actually have computer science students at Texas Tech kind of create sort of, based on the content we're able to get from the curriculum, create some sort of games that we're actually going to take through beta testing and have students actually test it out to see what games are actually of interest to them. And then from there, if they have the ones that kind of make the cut, we're going to put it into web app creation. Again, we're going to use computer science students as well as freelancers. The idea behind that is because when we looked online to see what the cost implications will be, we saw it will be about 50,000 and above for what we're looking at doing. So we figured it would be better to work with computer science students as well as freelancers to reduce our costs. As far as revenues, we're going to be targeting schools, school administrators. We're going to talk to them and have them actually test out some of this product, at least have their students test out this product. So once they buy into the product, we'll have some sort of subscription plan, and they buy some of the licenses so that students can actually have access to using the products. And then obviously we have access, teachers can have access to it, professors for their students. And then we can look at even parents having access to it so they can buy for their students, for their kids, if they want to use it as well, so at least to get them ahead of the game. So below is just a visual of going to the school and then having reaching out to the students for access. Next point, please. So the next steps we're looking at, we're going to be doing a general customer discovery, targeting parents, teachers, and students to kind of really drill down to what exactly they're looking for, and then kind of remove any barriers that kind of come up from the process. And then once we have that, then we're good. I mean, we at Fun Finance, we want to make finance fun and want children to kind of get the best out of the process. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Thank you, Fun Finance. Judges, opening up the floor to any questions or feedback.
I'm curious about competitors in the space. Did you guys find any?
Yes, we did. And so I don't know if you could go back to that slide, Kobe, of our competitors. And these are some of the games that we found. And the problem with these games is not the functionality, but the fact that they're all on individual sites. And so
these are, okay, so they're all focused on one piece, but no one's putting together a larger curriculum?
Correct.
Okay, and I just had one piece of feedback. So starting several years ago, at least in Texas, kindergarten through 8th grade students have standards that require personal financial literacy instruction in all of their math courses. That's not to say you're wrong, because your idea is needed, because schools have struggled with how to provide that. And so I would consider just a little tweak in the thought process of providing a solution for schools where they've struggled in implementing it, rather than the thought of it's not happening at all. But I think it's a great idea and great solution.
Thank you.
I really like the reference to Duolingo. I think that's really clever for anybody who's used one of those. It's a pretty intuitive. It's a good aha moment in the presentation for like, oh, okay, I see how this would work. Sticking to the competition angle, what would you say to somebody who would point out something like Khan Academy, which has, obviously a lot of content about personal finance, and people who are interested in that are usually aware of Khan Academy and things like that. So how would you consider them as a competitor, and what would your advantage over something like that be?
I think our advantage in itself is that we're going to actually be working directly with students. And I mean, once we create the curriculum itself, find out what the gaps are, we're going to actually be working with students to kind of test out some of the games to actually see the ones they actually like. I think it only makes sense to kind of create content that people will actually work with, as opposed to creating content that we think people will be good for them, but they don't really work with. So I think the whole process is more of a collaboration. I mean, we're collaborating with our professors to kind of ensure that we're getting the good contents we think is necessary. And then we're working with the teachers to kind of identify what the gaps are. And then from there, once we create the content at that level as well, we're working with students to kind of see what is it that you really like to learn, what was interesting, and then also trying to address those gaps. So once we have all of those things in place, then I think whatever we're pushing out, we definitely address our competitors. They're not doing the same thing we're doing.
To add on to that as well, I actually did look into what Khan Academy is doing right now, and what they only have is videos, educational videos. And what our idea is to then add games into those videos. So now you're not just learning, but you're practicing that in a fun way as well.
Awesome. We have time for one more question.
Great job. I really enjoyed this presentation and good job answering the questions. I was wondering, what is the procurement process of schools like? How hard would this be to implement your solution?
I can, so we didn't look into that much, but at least from my personal experience, my high school would and actually I think Tech has done this for a few courses also, is they purchase licenses for their students prior to the year or the semester starting. And then when the students come into their class, they create an account with the specific service that already has the license purchased. And then so it's set up that way.
Okay, thank you, Fed Finance. Great job. Okay, now I want to welcome up to the stage, our virtual stage, Team 9, Beanstalk. Now, this time around, we had Red Raider Startup virtually, and I want to say that I was very impressed with all the teams that took it by the horns and still completed everything we asked of them and worked above and beyond. Beanstalk is one of them. Beanstalk, go ahead and share who you are and what department you're from.
Yeah, so hi, we're Beanstalk. I'm Nicholas Valdez, a computer engineer at Texas Tech.
I'm Kelsey Gatlin. I'm a sophomore electrical engineering major.
Hello, I'm David Graves. I'm a senior electrical engineering major here at Tech.
Hello, I'm Harrison Spencer. I'm a junior electrical engineer here at Tech.
And so sort of like imagine this, right? You're on your phone, you're playing a mobile game, right? You're really into it, and you're all of a sudden, you lose the game, right? You lose, and you know what comes right after that, right? The ads, right? The whole minute ad where you have to spend time, watching this ad, or perhaps, waiting a few seconds, and you're annoyed, right? So a result is you might close the game, you might switch apps or just go somewhere else, right? And so this is the problem we're trying to solve, right? We want to solve this problem of sort of like this interruption of your gameplay, right? Because every time you play those games, right? Every time you play those games, that pop-up ad at the end when you die, right? To say, watch this 30-second video, right? And then you can skip. And then over a period of time, these ads come up and they become so cumbersome on the game that you'll either end up, maybe you just get bored of the game because of the ads, and so you delete it, or you just close out of the game and don't come back for a while. And so our solution to this is essentially just creating a seamless integration of targeted ads into mobile games. And so what we mean by this is sort of the idea is to create sort of these various mobile games that revolve around, and they're curated to allow sort of like every sort of elements in the game to serve as advertisements. And so what I mean by that is like the games are based around elements such as, drinks, cars, airlines, and other products of the sort that allow for product placement, sort of like how they do in the movies and TV shows. And so the emphasis is that we use sort of like commonplace items that normal everyday companies will be able to advertise in the game. This allows the player to, sort of stay engaged with the game, and also because like now that we don't have these like sort of pop-up ads at the end. Instead, the ads will be integrated into the game. And then at the end of the game, if you lose, there's always the option to visit the advertiser if you want, but it's not like a forced pop-up as some others. And so compared to our other app makers and game makers, competitors, our games are going to be fun, engaging, but the big difference here is that our games won't have these non-skippable ads. And what I mean by that is sort of the big pop-ups at the end that force you to watch and keep you bored and sort of interrupt your gameplay, if you will. And instead we have the seamless ads. And so we surveyed, we only were able to get around 21 people and sort of ask them questions relating to these topics. And so ask them if they played mobile games, and if so, how many do they have installed, right? The majority answer was 1 to 3. And then we asked which categories of games would most interest them. And we asked this so that for future development, when we make these games, we could see what type of games we could make to sort of revolve around. And then also we asked, what's the most annoying thing about the mobile games? And if the ad pops up after you lose, what do you do? And as you see, advertisements was the most annoying, and the ads closing the app was more than likely the answer. And so our target customer is essentially companies who want to advertise their games. We want to have sort of like the ability to target the big companies and also local companies by hopefully, creating that database. And when done correctly, the product placement can add a sense of realism, sort of like, how like I mentioned earlier with the movies or TV shows, that's something like a can simply marked with the label soda, doesn't do, right? And so how it works for the end user, the actual app player, is they'll download the game, there'll be a tutorial for the gameplay, they could start the game, and then the ads, as I mentioned, will be in the game, right? They're part of the game. And then once over, they could just go right back into the game. For the companies, how it works for them is they'll be able to see our user stats, choose the game that, will match their product. They'll be able to buy the ad, and then they'll see their ad integrated in the game. And by this, they will receive new customers and then continue to see our user stats. And that just sort of repeats and repeats. And so the price point would essentially be sort of the cost to develop the apps, to, all the equipment you'll need for that. The games will be, like those top free-to-play ones on the App Store, and most of the revenue will come from these ads and also from any in-app purchases. And then also, we will also have to spend some money on sort of marketing our games, putting them on other apps, and then also marketing to these companies, letting them know that, hey, people will click your game here. And then the next steps is to reach out to potential companies, see what they think of the idea. And if we can manage to find one who's willing to try, we'll develop a app sort of proof for them, and then go ahead and do some internal testing with that. Any questions?
Awesome. Thank you, team. Judges, I'm going to open up the floor to any questions or feedback.
Yeah, can you explain again what's the process, how the process works? So like you let person plays a game, and then how did you record data, and how does that data helps you to develop a seamless similar ads to be incorporated in the game?
Yeah. So the process, how it works, right? Did you want like sort of the company side? Kind of?
Yes.
Yeah. So we would develop sort of like these generic games, right? That have these modifiable components inside the game that sort of like say example, a race car game, right? You could have a car sponsorship in there. We just have a generic car without any like any actual like logo or anything on there. And then the ad would be to implement that logo into the game, into the car, if that makes sense. And then from there, we see, how long users are staying on the app, how long they're enjoying it. And based on that, we'll be able to sell that to the companies, let them know that this is how many people enjoy our game, and this is why you should purchase the ad.
So the data point is totally based on how long they watch the ads?
Yeah, so it'd be the user data, as in how many users we actually have using the app, how long they're actually playing it, and just general stats like that that really derive how good the ad would be and how many people would see it.
So I think this is a very interesting topic and it's interesting approach. So I was just wondering if a person watches an ad that's totally irrelevant with the game and then but still finishes watching it, how can you tell this person likes it or not?
So they're not actually forced to watch the ad. What it is say there's a can of Coke used in the game. That Coke would then be advertised as, say, Coca-Cola or Pepsi. So everything's integrated into the game. So as they're playing, they're viewing the ad. And so there's no really stats as in if they're engaging with the ad until the end of the level when they have the option to then go and actually view the advertiser's website.
It could be thought of as well as like in movies, you see product placement in like music videos. You have that product placement, you have a specific car brand that they use, or you see they have a bottle of Coke or a bottle of Pepsi. So it's like that. It's not to where the ad is part of the game so that the person playing the game while having fun playing the game is always seeing this product placement, whoever pays for the advertisement.
I have a follow-up. I think you guys have definitely identified something that's super annoying. I'm with you there. But there's a big disconnect in my mind, which is making a good game that's popular is hard. You know, like the app market is saturated already. It's very difficult to distinguish yourself. So you've got two problems, right? You've not only got to figure out how to make a game that's popular, but you also have to figure out a way to integrate content into that game based on this advertising. I think something you might consider is how you could provide a drop-in solution to people that are already making games. Because, I mean, you know, you may be very creative, but entering the app market and getting a game that advertisers will be interested in is difficult. So I think that's a big question mark in what you're trying to do.
Yes, that's a very valid point about how we really have to attack it from both sides if it was to be successful. That is a good point of really focusing on just the company side of it rather than the end user as well.
Thank you, Team 9. Great job. Alrighty, so that concludes all of our presentations. I want to thank all the teams for your hard work, creativity, and your discipline. And I want to thank the judges for all of the great questions and the feedback. I'll now hand it over to Tasha.
All right, so second that, thank you, everyone. We can tell that from the time that you started this till today that you guys listened to some mentor feedback and really took some consideration into what they said and worked really hard. We know that you guys didn't even get together as a team until about 8 o'clock on Friday evening. And so to see what you guys came up with in that short amount of time is respectable. So thank you guys for that. All right, so I am going to stop the live feed at the moment so that we can take a break. And then we'll come back. If you're watching with us live, we'll come back with the results and just the closing remarks. So let me do that really quick. All right, I believe we are off there.